How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, Polestar, Mullen, and as well as for SoFi. You know, I want to make sure you guys are prepared for this coming week. We're going to be going over all of the price levels. We're also going to be taking a look at the short interest information. And if you're new to this channel, I want to remind you we do have timestamps down below inside the description, and as well as you can find it inside of the comments. The reason why I want to make sure I get this video out for you guys, there were many people asking me what happened to SoFi on Friday. So of course I will be talking about that. So let's get into the videos right now. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $19.68, being down 2.14%. On the low, it tested $19.21, and then on the high, testing $20.29. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 13.949 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 15.754 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and we've seen a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the hourly chart, here are the levels that I want you guys to pay attention to, and also taking a look at the overall trend. We could see since the beginning of July, Lucid has been doing a really good job maintaining an uptrend. You see the continuation of higher lows as well, and we know that $20 is a psychological area for this place, so it tends to have a lot of selling pressure when it gets up here. But even though it did pull back, we see that support kicked in at $19.21, but that is still better than the support that we had back here on July the 14th, which was around $19.12. So that's what you want to see, a continuation of higher lows. So what I want to see from Lucid for the coming week, make that move back to $20, and then seeing if we can get to this area where I was talking about, which is very significant, at $20.61. If we decide to have a pullback now, then of course, if we decide to break through the previous low, I'd want to see us finding support right here around the 200 EMA, which is right around $18.87, and then being able to bounce up afterwards. But just know, if we see weakness inside these markets and for Lucid to start looking really weak, then if it breaks below $18, that's where it'd be concerning, and especially if it goes below $17.50. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings, we can see for the 15th, we have a good amount of closed positions. So we're going to go over the new positions. So we have Pinnacle Private Wealth LLC that purchased 10,287 shares. And we can see for the 14th, we have Cedar Mountain Advisors LLC that purchased 453 shares. Like I said, all of the red are closed positions that we have seen recently from the 13th as well as to the 15th. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 65.92%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 3.61 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.2 million, updated 29 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 15.30%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 14th, it is at 57.87, and then for the close of the 15th, it is at 65.92. So it has gone up a bit, and then taking a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 23.39%, Lucid continues to have short squeeze potential. So we're going to be taking a look at the chart from Mullen. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.08, being up 2.86%. On the low, it tested $1.06, and then on the high, testing $1.13. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 30.528 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 51.412 million shares. So you can see we did have below average volume on the day, but you can see Mullen didn't do too bad whatsoever. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the hourly chart, here's what I want to bring to your attention in regards to the levels. If you remember what I said in my previous video, it'd be very important for Mullen to get above $1.14. The high on the Friday was at $1.13, so this shouldn't be surprising to you whatsoever. We've been pointing out these levels. So going into next week, since we were able to form a higher low and we were able to get to 113, I want to see if we can make that move move to 114 come Monday or Tuesday. If it's able to do this and actually hold support above this level, Mullen gets very interesting, and that's where you want to see it being able to get to at least $1.20, where we could start seeing some resistance. You could see those wicks right there, that there is some sellers that are up here. So if we could break above that, that's where you want to see it going to 130 and so forth. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention, many people are saying, well, you know what, Mullen is only barcoding. But here's the thing, since the beginning of July, it tested a low of 90 cents, and right now it closed on the Friday at $1.08. So believe it or not, Mullen is actually on a steady uptrend. Will this continue? We're going to have to see this for the coming week, but just remember that. So overall, let's see if this stock can continue to move up for the coming week. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 46.18%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 6.69 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 85,000, updated 4 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 56.33%. And you can see at the start of the day it was at 42.71, so it's climbing. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 14th it is at 60.28, and then for the close of the 15th being at 46.18. So that's a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 13.56%, Mullen does have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Polestar. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $10.10, being down 0.98%. On the low, it tested $9.95, and then on the high, testing $10.30. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 1.842 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 2.767 million shares. So we have below average volume on the day. We also seen a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is our hourly chart, let's take a look at the levels we want to look for going into next week. So the first thing I'm going to point out is this level here at $10.62. Remember, we're looking for a break above this level. There is resistance, there is going to be some sellers here, but if we can gain momentum, that's where we could see Polestar making that move going to $11 before seeing some more resistance. And what we are seeing so far, it has been doing a great job holding up support right around this $10 level. I know it did test support at $9.95, but the fact that we have buyers down at this level between $9.90 and as well as $10 is a very good sign. So if we have more momentum in the market coming into Monday, and as well just overall for next week, I want to see Polestar reaching these levels. Now, as far as weakness is concerned, if it decides to break below $9.80, that's where we can come down to $9.53, and then breaking through this level, that's where Polestar can get down to $9. But we also can't forget the fact, overall, even though it's not moving a lot, it has been on a steady uptrend since the beginning of the month. You can see since July 1st, we hit lows of $8.45, and then here we are closing at $10.10 on the Friday. So like I said, we are on a steady uptrend. We just want to see if this can continue. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information for Polestar. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 54.26%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 495,156 shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated 2 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 113.81%. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we could see for the close of the 14th, it was at 43.56, and then for the close of the 15th being at 54.26. So that is a significant increase right there. We don't have the short interest percentage of the float as of yet, but one thing that is clear, Polestar does continue to have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart for SoFi. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $6.29, being up 6.43%. On the low, it tested $5.93, and then on the high, testing $6.30. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 22.336 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 23.494 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, but hey, we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is an hourly chart, remember when I talked about that level at $6.30? No surprise, we saw resistance there on the Friday, and then we sold off. Of course, we had some news that came down inside of the after hours, but we'll talk about that further in the final recap. But it's very clear to see that this is a level that SoFi needs to break above in regards to 630. If it's able to do that and then get past 638, that's why I'm saying 676 could be inside of the cards. Now what we want to see going into Monday, will it bounce off the 200 EMA at $5.93, which was the same area where it found some support. So that's why if it breaks through this level, especially if it goes below 576, or we can even chalk this up at under 570, SoFi can come back down to these lows right here around $5.17. So you want to add that to your homework as well. But overall, let's see what happens going into the coming week with the news being digested and seeing what it does during regular trading hours. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SoFi. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings here, we have for the 15th, we have Rosenberg Matthew Hamilton that purchased 600 shares. You can see 2 closed positions here. And we also have Westside Investment Management Inc. that purchased 950 shares as well. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 31.35%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.95 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 6.4 million, updated just now. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 1.78%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 14th, it is at 39.99. And then for the close of the 15th, being at 31.35. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 18%, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. So to give you guys my final recap for each of these stocks, let's first talk about Lucid. You've heard me say it over and over again that $20 is a psychological area for this play. There's a lot of sellers here, so that's why I wasn't shocked that on the Friday it ended up closing below this level. Did we have closes in the past? Yes, we did. But again, the key is Lucid needs to hold $20. If it continues to get rejected, that's where we can see some pressure on the stock. But overall, as far as momentum, Lucid has been on a strong uptrend. When we take a look at Mullen, many people are saying, well, you know what, this stock is just barcoding. Again, this is another stock that continues to be on an uptrend as well. Yes, we're not getting the price action that we normally see. We did get some spikes, but of course, we know this play is catalyst driven, which I've mentioned many times in the past. And you know, as far as for the key level that you want to see it get to is at 114 or higher. If we can get a close above that level, and then you want to look for a move going to 130 and then seeing if it can get to $1.52. Like I said, this stock is doing decently well, even though it's moving slow, because you have to take into consideration it tested lows of 90 cents not too long ago, and it seems like we do have bulls stepping in consistently right around that $1 level. You've already seen this happen over and over. And then when we took a look at Polestar, of course, we want to see this stock getting to $11 in the near term. If it can't get to $11 in the near term, that's where I can see it making a further pullback. And what do I mean by that? Trading below $9. But in my personal opinion, I feel for this play, a lot more buyers are going to start stepping in, and it's only going to be a matter of time before this stock can muster up enough buying pressure to be able to break above 1062 and then make that move to 11. When is it going to happen? Hey, we're going to have to be patient and wait to see about that, but at least you know those key levels like I spoke about when I was covering the chart. And then as far as for SoFi, there was news that came out that they're actually going in with a $1 billion mixed shelf offering. So of course, when you hear the word offerings, this is not a great sign whatsoever. So that's why going into Monday, it's going to be very interesting, especially during regular trading hours, to see there's going to be a lot more selling pressure coming into the play. And as far as the levels that I pointed out, you want to keep an eye on it. You want to see if it can hold support at key areas. If it's unable to do that, then of course the stock will break down to those lows that I've been talking about. But if it decides to make a move to the upside, you guys will already be prepared. The reason why I want to make sure I communicate this is that you want to have a good idea as far as the stocks that you are holding,
what your stance is going to be as far as for that overall price action, especially if you are a trader. If you are an investor, all of these short-term fluctuations should be of no concern to you whatsoever. But as far as for the market conditions, we have to take into consideration CPI was high, and then we also have a Fed meeting at the end of the month. So depending on what that decision may be, can have a huge impact on the market overall. If it ends up being a decision that no one saw coming, then we could see all these stocks that I just talked about going back and even further to previous lows that they tested in the past. So that's why I want to make sure that you're prepared for that. But as a trader, this would not matter to you. Just make sure that you take notes of the key levels I spoke about and then seeing where the market is going, because you have to understand that the trend is your friend. You don't need to trade against it to make money in these markets. So overall, let's see how these stocks perform for the coming week. And of course, I will continue to keep you updated. We'll talk soon.